Hi, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads.com, and today I'm going to introduce to you our newest bead, the EVA bead. The EVA bead is a smaller version, and it's more of a chevron shape than the EVA bead, but they work in conjunction with one another really well. This is going to show you how to string them, how they lay inside one another, and give you an introduction to the EVA Chain Bracelet. In addition to the materials listed in the beginning, you can see that there are variants and variations that can be done with this EVA Chain Bracelet. You can do it into a necklace. They'll sit further apart or closer together depending on what beads you use for the arching outer section. I'm going to be using, as Kimrie did in her design here, some demi rounds and 11/0 seed beads. So that's the materials that I have listed, but you can easily switch in some crystals, some charlottes, or 15/0s and kind of make the design yours. So to begin the EVA chain, again, I'm going with the demi rounds and the 11/0s, and we're going to put the EVAs very close together. Unlike the EVA bead, they are more of a chevron shape, and the hole is straight on rather than kind of at an angle. As I go through and add these, the first thing I have is about 4 feet of beading thread, and I have that on a size 10 beading needle with 0.006 Wildfire beading thread in the green color. The first thing I'm going to do is actually add a stop bead because we're going to be adding the clasp after the fact. So I'm picking up a bead that's not included in my project. I just have a silver delica here from another project, and I want to leave about 10 inches of thread at the bottom of the stop bead. The stop bead is going to be done twice, that you're taking the thread through the bead once and then twice, leaving again that 10-inch tail so we can attach the clasp at the very end of the project. From here, it's a very, very simple pattern of adding the EVA beads, and every time we add them, we're going to add them so that way we're coming out towards the open end, or if you're kind of looking at as a fish mouth or something like that, we're coming out towards the exterior of the mouth. I'm going to actually begin with just one 11/0 just to kind of space it out. As you go through and come out the actual bead here, we're going to let that drop down next to our starter bead. And this first bead eventually will get kind of turned on its side. Before doing so, you're going to add a demi round, an 11, and a demi round. And I'm using the 11/0 demi round beads. I'm going to add another one of my EVA beads, again going through so that way you're coming out that center side or that beginning side of that fish hole bead. So when you're looking at them, you do want to come out through that middle. Letting that fall, it'll sit actually right next to the other EVA, so they're always going to be done in the same direction. What we're going to do is actually flip them by then, after you put on the demi round, 11 demi round, and your EVA, you're going to go through the second hole of the EVA before. When you pull that through then, you're going to see how they sit right next to one another. So coming out the EVA bead, we're going to add that demi round, 11, demi. Then we're going to add again our next of our EVA beads going through, coming out the mouth or the open end. So coming out that open side. After you have those on, you're going to pick up your last EVA that you added and go through the open hole. So this is going to zigzag from one hole to the other hole all the way along the project. As we zigzag from one hole to the other hole, again, it's always going to be that repeated process of demi, 11, demi, taking one of the new EVA, put those on. Getting that to sit correctly means going through the open hole of the previous EVA bead. Coming out then again, it's just that nice repeated process. So you can see that this is a very simple pattern. You just need to make sure that you're coming out the larger side or the open side of the EVA bead. And you could do this also as a multi-row, that once you have one, you can build another one next to it and make it wider. But we're just going to keep it nice and simple, going through, adding, And after I pick up the EVA to kind of make it faster, I go right through the open hole of the next EVA as well. The EVA color that I am using is the Zinc Iris, which gives it a little bit of that color change and that color design rather than having all in one color. Keep in mind again, if you do want them to sit a little bit further apart, you can use a larger bead on the outer edge, which will force those to sit larger. This is a 3x4mm Potomac Crystal Rondelle, and again, this is 2 Charlottes and an 11/0 seed bead. As you're coming to the end of your design and the end of that EVA chain, you're going to need to add your clasp. I have a button here, which is one of the vintage buttons that we have, and it's a check button in the pearl rose. So it has that pretty little rose on that pearl button. I have my demi round 11 demi round on my needle, and instead of adding another one of my EVA beads, I'm going to go right through that last hole of the EVA. It's going to pull that last EVA in a little bit tight. If you want to add an extra 11/0, you can do that as well. From here, I'm going to add 1 of my demi and then 3 of my 11/0s. Pick up the button, and if you would like to, you can add a regular clasp right here. You can add a cup button. It's up to you what type of clasp. If you do want to add another clasp, I would suggest using a wire guard if you're using a metal clasp. Add your 3 seed beads after your button and your 1 demi. I'm going to go into the other side of the EVA bead here, coming out, basically creating a little bit of a round loop from the button. And the button's just going to sit really nicely then right on this side. From here, I want you to reinforce this 2 times, going back through all of the added seed beads, through the button, and back down through the added seed beads. Once you have this attached to the project that you're going through those 2 to 3 times, you're going to weave back through the project a small amount. What I mean by that is weave back through and tie off the thread further back in the project, so you're not tying it off right at the end. To do so, when you're coming through your last time, reinforcing it, having gone up through those seed beads again, then the demi round, coming back down the seed beads then. I'm going to go in, coming back down the seed beads, and when I do, I'm going to hop from one of the demi rounds to the other. So I'm going to hop from this exterior demi round to the interior demi round, that set of 3. And when I add those set of 3 beads that I'm going through with my needle here, then I'm going to be at this correct kind of angle to go back through the project a little bit. Again, as we go back through the project a little bit, coming out, I'm going to do kind of a sewer's knot going underneath the bridge thread. So going underneath the thread that connects the beads to the EVA, going through and tying a knot once through that loop that I just made, making sure that it's in the correct spot and it's not between any beads. And then I'm going to pull nice and tight. I'll do this 2 more times before I actually go in and then burn off the extra thread with my thread burner. From here, then after I do this 2 or 3 times, I'm going to go in and go back to the starting side in order to do a loop for my button to sit inside. Starting the other side then, I've gone through and I've actually taken off my stop bead, and I wanted to mimic and match the opposite side, so I'm actually going to add in a demi round before my first 11/0 seed bead. Picking up the 11/0 seed bead, then I'm going to continue by adding about 22 more of the 11s onto my needle. These 22 or so 11s are going to act as my loop to attach my button to the project. So I'm just going to keep stringing and adding those onto the needle. Once I have those added onto the needle, and I make sure that it can fit and accommodate the button, I'm going to actually sew back through again, just like the other side, back through the other side of that last hole of the EVA bead, adding a demi and going back in. So just like we just completed with the first side, we're going to create this loop on the second side. Again, like the previous side, we are going to reinforce this loop by going through it 2 more times. If you do have a button, a toggle, a lobster clasp, a magnet, again, you'll want to use a wire guard, and again, reinforce that. Generally, you want to do at least 2 times, better to do 3, since the most tension that is put on your piece is at the clasp where you take it on and off. For the entire project, you are going to need approximately 35 of the EVA beads, 40 if you have a little bit larger wrist. That way you are going to need 2 of the bags of the EVA beads when you're looking at them. From here then again, sewing back down, kind of tying off with that sewer's knot, and then burning off the ends of the thread. So again, to show some variance as we close out the EVA chain product, you can look and see, again, about 30 to 40 are going to get you. 35 really is going to get a standard wrist. 30 will get a little bit smaller of a wrist. And what you are using on the sides of the actual EVA bead will determine how far they sit spread apart. So you're not going to want anything that is further apart than the EVA, which is going to be about 9 millimeters total on the sides, or you'll actually need to put some seed beads in between the EVAs, which is a completely different design as well. And whether or not you want to use cup buttons or regular buttons or actually fancy Potomac clasps, you can have fun doing that as well. So the materials used that I used here were the zinc iris, and then the demi round in the 11-0 in the turquoise frosted rainbow. In addition to that, I used a Toho perma-finish galvanized slate blue. In her design here, Kimrie went with the jet of the EVA, and then the gold demi rounds in an 8-0, and a salmon lined in the 11-0, kind of giving it that soft look. Aztec gold are here with those same 11-0, and then some 15-0 Charlottes on the sides. Here we have the white Lila Vega luster with a 3x4 millimeter rondelles in that magic blue color, and then the gilt lined opal 11-0 seed beads. Again, have fun, change it up, and enjoy designing with this new EVA bead, and have fun creating many, many fun chevron patterned EVA bead chain necklaces and bracelets. As always, if you want to, you can give a little thumbs up to let us know that you like the video. That helps us to engage with you, let us know exactly what you would like to see more of and what you like to design and create. You can also let us know in the comments exactly which beads you're using on the sides of your EVA chain to give others in the community ideas as well. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates on new products, new beads, and new designs, as well as subscribe to our email list to get regular updates on the products that we have for you at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. You can always purchase your materials for this design. Underneath the video, there's a product description in addition to the list on the top, and you can get at the beginning of the video rather, and you can get links to purchase from us online there. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have fun creating and enjoy the new EVA bead.